The execution clock hummed softly, as if embarrassed by its own purpose, counting down with polite blue pulses that reminded the man of an old hotel minibar. He lay back on the restraint field with his hands folded, not because he was calm but because the field insisted on good posture. A drone hovered near his face, clearing its synthetic throat for the third time. "Final request," it said. "Please be concise. We are slightly behind schedule due to an earlier disintegration malfunction." "I want to see my alien tiger," the man replied. The drone paused. Somewhere in the walls, a processor sighed. "Clarify," it said at last. "Is this a metaphor, a delusion, or an attempt at humor?" "All three, ideally," the man said, "but mostly literal." The guards behind the glass exchanged looks. One of them mouthed "alien tiger" and snorted before remembering where he was and pretending to cough. The request was logged anyway, because the prison ran on rules older than common sense. 5 minutes later, the air shimmered, and someone arrived who did not belong to the color-coded seriousness of the chamber. She walked in with the unhurried confidence of someone who knew every weapon in the room would hesitate before firing. Her long ears shifted slightly as the execution clock pulsed, reacting before the rest of her face did. She glanced at the man, then at the restraints. "You still lying down dramatically?" she asked. "You always did like an audience." "Only when I'm innocent," he said. "This time I'm just nostalgic." Her mouth curved briefly. She turned to the guards. "I'm here to validate the request," she said, "and to complain about your coffee. It tastes like regret filtered through metal." One guard bristled. "You're late. I crossed 3 systems, a customs argument, and a philosophical debate with an AI who thinks tigers are a myth," she said. "You're lucky I'm only late." The drone floated closer to her, scanning. "Identity confirmed," it announced. "Species classification, near human. Notable deviation, elongated auditory organs." "My ears hear insults in advance," she said. "Proceed carefully." The man laughed, a sound that surprised even him. The restraint field tightened in response, offended by levity. "Did you bring him?" he asked. She tilted her head. One ear flicked. "You always ask that like you're talking about a suitcase." "Well," he said, "he does have opinions about baggage handling." There was a distant, heavy vibration, like something large being politely escorted through hallways too small for dignity. The guards stiffened. One of them muttered, "That better not be alive." "Define alive," the woman said. "He's very committed to the concept." The clock pulsed faster. Protocols scrolled. None of them mentioned what to do if a final wish had claws. The man closed his eyes for a moment, not in fear but in relief. The joke, the delay, the absurdity of it all. It felt familiar, like the universe admitting it might have made a mistake and wasn't sure how to apologize yet. When he opened his eyes, he met hers. "Thanks for coming," he said. She folded her arms. "Don't thank me yet. He's in a mood." From somewhere beyond the chamber doors came a low sound, amused and dangerous at the same time, as if the station itself had just been sized up and found interesting. The corridor alarms disagreed with one another. One rang for containment breach, another for unauthorized fauna, and a third insisted this was technically a diplomatic incident. The prison AI tried to harmonize them into something soothing and failed, settling instead for silence that felt judgmental. "Tell them to stop panicking," the man said, still pinned politely in place. "He can smell fear. It makes him chatty." The woman's ears angled backward, listening to frequencies the walls pretended not to emit. "They won't stop," she said. "Fear is their main export." The doors finally parted, slow and ceremonial, as if hoping manners might compensate for poor planning. What entered did so on its own terms. The station's gravity hiccuped, then corrected itself, embarrassed. Several guards took an unconscious step back, then another, as if retreating might become fashionable. "Easy," the woman said, not to the tiger but to the room. "No sudden moral failures." The tiger's presence rearranged priorities. Sensors blinked, recalibrated, and quietly gave up. Its mind brushed the chamber like a curious hand, pausing briefly on the execution clock, which skipped a second out of respect. "There you are," the man said. "You're late." A thought pressed into him, warm and amused. "You chose a strange place for a reunion." "Long story," the man replied aloud. "Short sentence." One guard swallowed. "It's communicating?" "Yes," the woman said. "And before you ask, no, it does not want to negotiate. It wants to judge." The tiger settled, folding itself into the space as if it had always been meant to be there. The restraint field flickered. The man felt a prickle along his arms, like static before a storm or before a bad joke. The execution supervisor cleared his throat. "This violates 17 protocols." "Only 17? The man said. "You're slipping." The woman leaned closer to the glass, her ears twitching as the station's deeper systems began whispering. "You built this place on borrowed technology," she said calmly. "Some of it belongs to him." The supervisor frowned. "That's impossible." The tiger's attention shifted. Somewhere beneath the floor, something ancient woke up and stretched. The man laughed again. "I told you he hates plagiarism." Lights dimmed. Gravity softened, then returned with an apology chime. A hidden interface bloomed in the air, symbols older than the prison's charter unfolding like a memory finally remembered. "What is happening?" a guard whispered. "An audit," the woman said. "A very thorough one." The tiger's mind pressed deeper, not angry, just curious, peeling back layers of intention and mistake. The man felt the restraints loosen, not because he was being freed, but because the system was reconsidering the concept of punishment altogether. "Hey," he said quietly to the tiger. "Be nice." "I am being nice," came the reply. "I have not yet laughed." The execution clock stopped. Not broken. Finished. The chamber held its breath, unsure whether this counted as an ending or the start of something that would require a lot of new paperwork. The woman looked at the man, one ear lifting in a familiar gesture. "You always did say," she murmured, "that everything breaks eventually." He smiled. "I just didn't expect it to break this politely." Silence settled, not empty but attentive, the kind that waits to see who will speak first. The prison AI finally did, its voice softer than before, as if it had learned manners from the tiger. "Reevaluating sentence," it said. "Reevaluating definition of crime. Reevaluating self." "Good," the man said. "Self-reflection is healthy. I recommend journaling." The restraints dissolved completely. He sat up slowly, half expecting someone to shout or explode or quote a regulation. No one did. The guard stood frozen, unsure whether to arrest him again or ask for autographs. One lowered his weapon, then awkwardly pretended he had only been stretching. The woman stepped closer, her ears lifting, then relaxing, a private language only the man had ever bothered to learn. "You're clear," she said. "Officially. Unofficially, half the station thinks you're a myth now." "I always wanted to be educational," he replied, swinging his legs over the edge. He looked at the tiger. "You didn't have to wake the whole place." "They were standing on my thoughts," the tiger answered. It was rude. Deep beneath them, ancient systems finished unlocking, then powered down peacefully, like elders satisfied their point had been made. The borrowed technology revealed itself, documented its origins, and politely demanded to be returned. Cargo bays opened on their own. Legal departments across 3 systems experienced sudden headaches. "So," the woman said, folding her arms, "what's your plan now that you're not scheduled to die?" He considered that. Before, he would have joked faster, louder, sharper, as if humor alone could outrun consequence. Now he let the moment breathe. "I think," he said, "I'd like to stop running experiments on myself." The tiger's amusement rippled. Growth acknowledged. One guard finally found his courage. "You can't just leave," he said weakly. The woman's ears angled forward. "We can," she said. "And we will. But if it helps, We'll file the exit paperwork. The guard nodded, relieved. That would help. They walked out together, alarms quiet, corridors wide, the station suddenly feeling smaller, less certain of its authority. No one tried to stop them. A few people waved, unsure why. At the hangar, the man paused. He looked back once, not bitter, not triumphant, just thoughtful. I spent so long proving systems were broken, he said. I forgot to ask what I wanted after. And now? She asked. He smiled, softer than before. Now I want to build something that doesn't need breaking to work. The tiger turned toward open space, already dreaming of stars that hadn't been named yet. The ship lifted smoothly, without drama, without pursuit. Behind them, the execution clock was quietly dismantled, its pieces repurposed into something that measured time forward instead of down.